Welcome. I'm Dr. Garcia, and this is English 200 Detective Fiction. This intro video is just to show you how the Canvas course is laid out and to talk a little bit about the assignments that we're going to do this first summer session. So this is what you should see when you log into Canvas. There's a welcome announcement that's got some links in it, an important read first, which I'll click through. It's got my cell phone number, so if you have a question, you can text me. It's got my email, so you're always free to email me. It'll have a link to this video when I finish it. And it links to the syllabus and schedule pages, which you can also get from the homepage. And then there's this link to my Zoom room as well. And we'll use that a couple of different times over the course of the semester. So your syllabus is here, the schedule is here, and that might be useful for you to know. It's got the date connected to the day because I put the ones in Canvas by day, the things you should read on that day, and the assignments that you should do. So that's one way to look at the work for the course. There's also this deadlines page. If this helps, it's maybe a little more straightforward. And it's got the date and the thing that's due that day. So you can see May 27th, 28th, 30th, June 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 6th, 9th. Like it goes pretty quickly. There's something due every 1 or 2 days. I've tried to pace out the work to make it not too overwhelming. But if you get behind on something, just post as soon as you can. There's not a penalty for late work, but if you get 2 or 3 assignments behind, it starts to feel like there's not really enough time to catch up before the semester's over. So try to stay on top of it. Um, General questions or recommendations. If you hear something on the radio or you watch a show that you think might be relevant to the course or what we're talking about, this is a great place to post those. Or if you have questions about when things are due or how something should be formatted or where you should turn it in or anything like that, then this is a good place to ask those things. Um, I've got the course organized around 3 units. There's the classical era of detective fiction, and then there's the hard-boiled era of detective fiction, and then the contemporary era. These are categories, I mean, hard-boiled and classical people will talk about. Contemporary is sort of my name for what we're doing now with detective fiction, and we'll talk more about that when we get into that unit. And then the last week is about the final project. Um, the work in this class is pretty much discussion posts. So let's find it here on the syllabus. So you'll have discussion posts, you'll have 6 discussion posts, 4 Padlet posts, a close reading, and then a close reading conversation and a reflection. And that makes up the work for the course. And you can see sort of like their various weights there. The discussions are about what you would think. They are 150 to 200 words. They're graded on a scale of if it's incomplete, inaccurate, or off topic, it's a 1. If it's relevant, but it's generic, that's a 3. And if it's relevant, specific, thought-provoking, engaged with the text, then that's a 5. You're not required to respond to the people in your group. The discussions should be set to a group assignment where you'll be looking at the posts of like 4 other people in the class. They're groups of 5. But it would be a good idea. It's a good place to look for ideas and think about what you might say about any of the stories. And it's a nice community builder to engage with people's posts. If you agree with them, or if you read something different, or if they ask a question in their post, it's courteous to respond to them. So I encourage you to do it, but I'm not grading you on your responses to other people's posts. I'm just grading you on your own post. So let's see. The other assignments, kinds of assignments, I guess I could look at it here. The other kinds of posts that we have on here, we've got 4 Padlet posts. There's an intro post, and then there's one that happens at the end of each unit. So at the end of the classical era, you have a Padlet post. At the end of the hard-boiled, you have a Padlet post. And at the end of contemporary, you have a Padlet post. And all of those have some kind of video element to them. Well, not the first one. The intro is just a photo. Well, it could be a video, but you can choose on the first one. So the Padlet posts are available to everyone in the class. So your discussion posts are just the five people that you're in a group with, the Padlet post, or something everyone in the class can see. Um, and they're linked in the assignment pages. Here's my intro post, and you can see it there as an example. To make a Padlet post, you hit this little plus button down here, and then you can make your intro post. I just introduced Virgil. That's my cat, one of my cats. He may be joining us on some of the video calls. Um, so yeah, you type in here, you click this, and it will take a picture if you like. Um, hey Virgil, you busy watching the traffic? Just like that. And then just like that, it publishes your post. It's pretty straightforward. If it gives you any difficulty, just email me and I'll try to sort it out for you. Sometimes it will pick up your name if you're logged into your Gmail. The computer will talk to the other applications. All the applications will talk to each other and it will pick up your name. Sometimes it won't. And so if it doesn't, be sure you include your name on a post that where you talk about detective fiction so that you get credit for it. So these are the things that need to go on that. Okay, we looked at discussions and Padlets, 6 discussions, 4 Padlets. Um, and then the other assignments that we have, the main assignment for the course is the close reading. So for the close reading, you're going to choose one of these 2 prompts, one about the text and representation in the text, and the other about sort of the analytical reading. So you've got some detective short stories that you're going to read. The class is built around short stories. And then you have 3 podcasts and 2 readings about I guess 2 documentary shorts also about the text, about the writers and what they're trying to do and what detective fiction is like. So those are the 2 angles you can sort of pull from. You can be interested in one of those analytical texts and try to apply it, excuse me, to something we've read, or you can try to dig into how the author is representing different people and their concerns. Fat cat. Let me move so he can go. There we go. So, we'll talk more as that goes, and I'll have something to say in the videos about it. But you could go ahead and read now, and you should, what the close reading is supposed to be so that you get a good sense of um, what to be reading for, right, as you read these short stories. And then the other big assignment is a close reading conversation. Actually, I just noticed the points on this are wrong, so I'll have to fix that. So the close reading conversation, you'll sign up for a 20-minute slot. You'll meet with me on Zoom and you'll kick off a conversation. I'm going to have a 10-sided die and I'll roll it and each number will correspond to one of the short stories that we read. And that's the story we'll talk about. And you'll be expected to start and to keep a conversation going about that story for probably closer to 15 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes, because we'll talk a little bit about your close reading paper and we'll take a few minutes to get started. So that is the sort of companion assignment to your close reading essay, the other big assignment for this class. So I've got some suggestions here to help you be successful with that conversation. One is to make note of aspects of each story that delight, irritate, confuse, or intrigue you. Those are always good conversation starters, and we can go from there to kind of dig into the text to see what it's about. Another might be to generate a few questions for each story. You could start the conversation with a question. You can fall back on a question if conversation lulls. So those are important things to do. What are some questions that you have about the story or that you think are worth asking about the story? And then another might be to make a note of how the analytical texts that we read or the documentaries, those other little pieces, how they connect to the stories and how they deepen your engagement with it or enrich your understanding of detective fiction generally or these stories in particular. So, and this is always a good topic to explore with other people. So, what you should be doing as you read each of these stories is making a note of quotes you like, moments that confuse you, things that are interesting or surprising or intriguing to you or outrageous, right? Those are the things you should be making notes about. And then you should generate two or three questions that would help us get into discussion about it. And they shouldn't be like questions that point at the text and have an answer, like who killed the butler, right? It's not that kind of a question. They need to be questions that help us dig into like what the relevance of the story is or what we take away from it. And then thinking about those connections across the nonfiction analytical pieces that we read and the fiction stories that we read. So those are the two big assignments. And then the last is a reflection. It's 2 pages double spaced. So a 2 page double spaced reflection on what you learned from the course, how you might apply it in the future, um, what you like about the structure of the course, or what you would have me change about the structure of the course for people going forward. That's all good feedback for me to understand how to better make this a place where students can be successful. So that is pretty much I think all you need here. I do have like a writing day scheduled in, so a day where you don't have much. I think there may be a Padlet post due that day, but no reading or anything to kind of help you get ready to turn in that close reading. And then these days, 16, 17, and 18, which actually happen on June 17th, 18th, and 19th, which is a little confusing, but it is what it is. Those are days that are you just sign up for your 20-minute slot. And you could do that today if you wanted to. I've got the sign up sheet here. So on Tuesday, on Wednesday, and on Thursday, um, it would be a good idea actually for you to look at it and to pick your slot to see if you can work around, if there's a time that works best with your schedule. If none of these times work for you, then you can send me an email and we'll schedule a different time. This is just the time that I've set aside to do it, but I'm willing to meet with you on other days outside of, or other times later in the evening, or even maybe the day before, or the day after, if we need to do that. So let's see. I think that's probably everything that you need to know. Padlets, discussions, close reading conversation, and reflection. I love detective fiction. I love your recommendations. Um I take all my students' recommendations and build my summer reading lists out of it. So I'm excited to hear what you know about detective fiction, what you want to learn about it, and to talk over these texts with you. I've picked texts, they're not always my favorites. A lot of my favorites are novels, they're longer pieces, right? Um, but they're good examples of both the good and bad about detective fiction. And um, they're good examples, I think. They give us a lot to talk about what's interesting and what's worthwhile about the genre. So I'm excited to work with you this summer session, and I can't wait to see what our discussions bring. Feel free to email or text me if you have any questions or issues. And then I guess that's all. I'll be talking to you soon. Virgil's going to come say bye. Say bye, Virgil.